To slab or not to slab? That is the question. We're going to take a look at that question and maybe come up with some answers for this pile of books from a recent collection up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hey there, comic book community. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. And before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe. I'd like to thank everyone who has been supportive of this channel. It's been a really fun ride. We're well over 3,000 subscribers. I just did my 3,000 subscriber giveaway the other day, and you can take a look at that video, see if you won. I think I've been in touch with 3 of the 5 winners, so take a look if you haven't. If you haven't seen that video, to see if you won, reach out to me. My email is in the description for this video. Also, follow me on the other socials. I'm on Instagram at Bronzeville_comics. Whatnot, Bronzeville_comics. We do sales every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And this coming Monday, which will be December 12th, we're doing a big, amazing Spider-Man sale. So the books that I don't send out to get graded will be available in that sale. The store is already loaded with the books and approximate conditions. And then the week after that, we're doing a Tales of Suspense, Strange Tales, Tales to Astonish sale. Again, the books that aren't sent out, and there's some really nice books in there, are going to be available. If you are not yet on Whatnot, you can use the link in the description to get $10 off your first purchase. In addition, my eBay store link is in the description below, and as I said, my email as well. So we're going to, just like a spine tick, anything shows up on black, right? I'm going to keep that live. That's just, what is that? I don't know. Probably a piece of lint or something. Anyway, so I picked up a collection recently, and I'll put a link to that here. It was 2 short boxes, all ASM, and as I said, Tales of Suspense, Tales to Astonish, Strange Tales. So I went through the collection, and I looked at every book, checked it for completeness, and graded, and I was determining which books were going to be graded to go out to CGC, and which books I would sell on Whatnot. That was generally the 2 areas. Sometimes there are books that I will funnel off to my PC, or to see if they're upgrades over the books I do have in my PC, and then I'll just take the undercopy and try to sell that. So the first thing you need to know, if you're not really familiar with CGC, are the tiers and the grading of those tiers. It's based on 2 factors. The primary factor is the value of the book, and that's how much you're going to insure the book for, not how much you think it will be worth after it gets graded. Not like, oh, I think that's going to be a 9.2, and a 9.2 is a $5,500 book. No. What is it worth raw, right? And basically, you're going to pay a little bit more in shipping for the more that you insure it at, and if you go over the thresholds for each of the tiers, you're going to pay more to get it graded. So, and if you're sending it off to CCS, you're going to pay more to get it cleaned and pressed. So all these books, I'm either going to clean and press myself, or a handful, and I'll talk about that. The bigger books, I'm going to have Erod do that. He's done pressing and cleaning for me before. I'll put a link to his information in the description. So, the first I'm going to go through the different series and talk about the books. But let's talk about the tiers first. So the biggest tier is walkthrough, and those are books that have a value of over $3,000. None of the books here are in that category. So if you have a reasonably high grade Hulk 181, or you have some big Silver Age keys, that's going to be the tier for those books. That's expensive. It's 3% of fair market value, a minimum of $150, and the turnaround time is 3 working days. So theoretically, you should get those books back pretty quick. Those are the big boy books. And so it's over $3,000. Now, if you think the book is worth approximately $3,000 or even a little bit more, you're probably not going to want to put it through walkthrough. You're probably going to want it to be worth at least $4,000 or $5,000 because it's how much you're insuring it for. You know, and it's an insurance gamble kind of thing. Are you willing to say the chance that the CGC loses or damages the book, that I'll take a payment of, let's say, $3,000 if I thought the book was worth $4,500? That's what you have to balance. So the tier below that is Express, and those are books that are worth between $1,000 and $3,000. I'm not going to put any of these books in Express, although I do think a couple of them are worth in excess of $1,000. They're not far enough above for me to pay the money for that. It's a 5-day turnaround for Express, and it's $130 per book. So keep that in mind, $130. Walkthrough is at least $150, 3% of fair market value. So if you have like a $10,000 book, you're paying $300 to get it graded. Then Standard. Standard is between $400 and $1,000. It's a 15-day turnaround. That's working days, so that's about 3 weeks. You'd probably have your books back in about a month. And I'm doing these are the current estimated turnaround times. It's an $80 per book. So if you have a book that you think is worth, like, let's say $1,500, and that's what you declared at, you're paying $50 more to get it graded than if you would if you declared it at $1,000. And since this was part of a collection, I didn't go and pay, buy a raw book for $1,500, or it doesn't make sense for me to declare it for that much. And I'm not sure what the grade will be anyway. So we'll talk about the books that we think fit that threshold. So then under that is, so standard is $400 to $1,000. Anything under $400 in value, then it is based on the age of the book. If the book came out, it has a cover date 1975 or later, it goes into modern, which is $24 a book. If it's before 1975, it goes into economy. So 1974 or earlier, it goes into economy, and it's $35 a book. So it's $11 more for older books. Here's where it really gets interesting with the comparison between those two, modern and economy. And the majority of the books that people submit are going to fall into those categories. Modern book turnaround time is 20 days. Okay? About 4 weeks, so you're probably going to get your books back in less than 2 months. Economy is 235 days. Working days. 235 working days. Right? Not including holidays. Right? That's 47 weeks. That's a year. You include shipping on either end and, some wiggle room. So 235 days to get your books back. Now, for both modern and economy, you have the option of fast tracking them. And this is a way for CGC to get money out of people. The fast track for either service is $15. But the turnaround times for modern, it goes down from 20 days to 10 days. So you're saving a couple of weeks. To me, that makes 0 sense. The only time it would make sense is if you have like a brand new book, fresh off the shelves, variants, and some dealers do this, want to be the first one to market with those variant covers. Yeah, then it makes sense. If you want to be the first one to be able to have the 9.8 and get people running it after it with FOMO, that's not where I am, so I don't even consider that. 2 weeks, it's not worth the extra $15. You're going, instead of paying $24, you're paying $39 a book. However, with economy, it goes from 235 days to 20 days. So basically a year to about a month, a little more than a month. There it makes sense. And you're paying $50 rather than $35. So now figure you're paying $50 to get it graded. Plus shipping, you're probably getting closer to $60. How much should the book be worth? Now, I will say this. Economy, if you don't care, if it's for your personal collection, you don't need the book back right away, you could save that $15. Up to you. It's totally good. For me, I bought these books. I want to try to sell them. So the fast track for economy, not for modern, for economy makes sense. Now, almost all these books are economy. So basically, then the threshold is, what is it worth? So even if you got the books for free, right? You're paying, let's say, $60 just, for a bag and board and shipping, as well as the grading. $50 grading and $10 for handling costs, the box to put it in. Talking about $60. Even if you get the book for free, how much do you want it to be worth? I've kind of upped my threshold to $200. I want the book to, in the condition I think it's in, after it's graded, to have a fair market value of approximately $200 or more, right? If it comes back a little bit lower grade than I anticipated, and it's still worth $150, that's going to be okay. Okay. So let's take a look at the books that I'm considering, and what I think the grades are, and what these books are. So this one, this classic Silver Surfer Hulk cover by Maurice Severin, his first appearance outside of Fantastic Four. I think this is about a 7.0. Does need a press, definitely. I don't know. I got to check what's going on with the interior pages. It's a little bit. I think it's just a misalignment because the stapling in these was very inconsistent. But even with the staples on the front, really nice spine. That I'm going to submit. First appearance of Abomination. I think this is about a 7.5. That makes sense to submit. He's still around in the MCU. Now, this book is borderline. This is number 59. Let me just look at my paperwork here. This is the first Hulk in title in the series. I have this graded at about a 5.5. That's maybe, on a good day, a $200 book. So it's really borderline, but I really love this cover. For whatever reason, I think that's a really cool cover. It's been a book that's been on hot lists lately, and that's another factor. Do you think the book is going to grow, right? And will you have it back in time to show that growth? People who submitted, let's say, Moon Knight books a year ago or just over a year ago and then just got them back. The value of those books went up and came down. Eternals books, Ms. Marvel books, etc. So that's something to consider as well. Do you think the book has room to grow? So even though that one is borderline in terms of, I think, what the value I think is at the approximate grade, and even if I drop it down a grade, maybe 2 to I think it's a 5.5. What does it sell at for fair market value at a 5 and a 4.5? But then again, maybe it comes back better and you do well. Kind of want to avoid having, $80 slabs. Now, then let's take a look at the Tales of Suspense run. And I got a little bit scared on one of these, but I'll show you that. So here we have 48. This is the first red and gold armor. He's putting away the gold armor, taking out the red one. I have this at about a 5.0. That's about the $200 plus, over a $200 book. And if it comes, it's got this stuff there. But other than that, a pretty clean book. If it gets a grade above that, then I'll be doing very well. 53. Second appearance of Black Widow. I think this is nicer. This is like a 6.5. So that's definitely over $200. It's pretty clean. Now, I got scared because when I had these books stacked. Now, the next book is in lower grade. But then I was like, what is going on here? Right? Because, where is it? There we go. I'm looking at the Marvel boxes, comparing the two. Just 4 issues difference. Where are we? Right? And it almost looks, in 57, like someone has colored in Iron Man's eyes. That's almost what it looks like. But if you look at pictures of the book, that's the way it is. Right? 57, first appearance of Hawkeye. This is about a 2.5. It is lower grade. It is missing a piece down there, a little piece on the spine. It is lower grade, but even in the lower grade, its first appearance of Hawkeye, it's a big key. I think that's worth submitting. And then this book, number 77, which is the first appearance of Peggy Carter, I have it at about a 6.0, which is borderline to be a borderline. Now, here's another part of my reasoning. The top staple is hanging on for dear life. Right? So I have to be careful in pressing this. So these books are all going into that economy tier. Nothing that's going to, I think, really realistically be over $400 of the books that I've looked at so far. And the high range economy, maybe. I would, for me, even if the top staple's detached, the bottom staple's solid, it's going to get a grade knock. I would rather, if I'm going to resell this book, I'd rather have that determined final for CGC rather than selling it raw, because it is a big key, it's a pricey book, and then the buyer opening it up, and then maybe in them opening it, detaching the staple, coming back to me and saying you sold a book with a detached staple. I'd rather have it, it's like the reason that people use CGC largely is to verify the condition of their books, right? You and I could be both looking at the same book, and I'm selling, you're buying, or you're selling and I'm buying, and I could be like, I think that's a 6.5, and you could be like, oh, I think it's an 8. I'm going to sell it for an 8. That could just be, but if it's in a slab, then there's really no argument. Could argue over the price, but not the condition. And then in the Strange Tales run, there was only one book, 159, the first appearance of Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who is playing a major part in the MCU right now. So that book in this condition is probably a book over $200. Definitely an economy book. So now we go to the ASM books. And this book was a disappointment. This is going to be a 0.5. It's missing the centerfold. It is lower grade. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this. Even a 0.5 does have over $200 worth of value. And so again, I think, just for full disclosure, show that it says on the slab that it's incomplete, it's missing the centerfold. That makes sense. It's not maybe going to sell for as much. And if I wanted to dupe people, I could send it to PGX or something. It is what it is. This is a book. It's about a 5.5. Spider-Man 10. This earlier Spider-Man book in this condition is definitely, it's like maybe a $700 book or so. So this I might consider, for the not the express tier, the standard tier, the $400 to $1,000 book. I'm going to take a closer look at that. It does have a tear there, so I'm not sure. That's a maybe. This is definitely going into that tier, and that's number 13. I have this graded at a 6.5. That is well over $1,000 book, but I'm gonna, I think, declare this as $1,000, and if they charge me more, they charge me more. 16 is I have it as 6.0. This Daredevil crossover, that also is about $1,000 book, so that's gonna go into the standard tier. 23 is a 6.0. That's the third Green Goblin. That is a few $100s. That's definitely economy. 25 is a 6.5. That's a few hundred. That's economy. 27 is a 6.5. That's a few hundred. Probably not in excess of 400 anyway. This is a little bit lower grade. First, Molten Man with that dark cover. That's about a 5.0. Again, that's a couple hundred. This one is, if it had been a higher grade, a 5.0 is probably around $500. I'm going to keep that in the economy submission. 33 is about a 5.0. Same thing. That's like a $200 or $300 book. Same thing with this in a 5.5. I'm sorry, the 39. This is like a 4.0. Again, that's maybe a $300 book, somewhere in that range. Maybe a little bit more, but you can see it's definitely lower grade. Now this is a 6.0. So this is something that's probably like around a $500 book or so, maybe a little bit more. I'm going to have to take I'll take a closer look at that one. First Rhino. This is a little bit undervalued. 42 is the first cameo, the first time we fully see MJ. That last panel where she's like, "Face it, Tiger, you've hit the jackpot." But that's economy. Same with this third Rhino, second full MJ. That's about a 6.0. Right? This second Lizard is about a 7.0. This first Shocker is about a 6.5. That's probably in excess of $400, but we'll cap it at $400. This is definitely going. This is a pretty book. This is the first Kingpin I have it at a 7.0, so that's definitely going in the standard tier. Again, nothing express or walkthrough. We're basically just choosing between standard and economy. 51, about a 7.0. Again, a few $100s. That's not going to be much more than $400. And then the rest of these are still economy because of their age. These, I think, are from 74? Maybe, I think they're 74. They don't yet fall into modern. 134, that's about an 8.5. That's a nice book. And this one is 135. The second full Punisher is about an 8.0. So those will be economy books. This is the only modern book in the submission, and it is a little bit lower grade. I have it graded at about a 6.5. That could be in excess of $400, but I think I'm just going to put that. I got a 7.5 back in a economy order, and then this one actually had gotten separated from the rest, so I didn't have it numerically. But this is because of the condition. I think this is about an 8.0. Even like a 7.75 is probably worth in the neighborhood of 200, so I think that's worth it. Now, this next book is definitely going to be put aside. This is the last book that I'm submitting, and it's definitely going to go into the standard because it is probably worth in the neighborhood of $1,000. Right? The annual one, the spine is pretty darn nice on this one. The spine is pretty solid. There's a little bit of spine wear down at the very bottom. And then you can see a little piece missing, but the rest of the spine's nice. I'm thinking this, I had this at like a 3.5. But even that, it's like $1,000 book. So that I'll claim, and the Kingpin I'll claim at 1,000. And then I'll take a closer look at the other ones. So that's kind of my thought process. Is I would have to say, in order for me to put it into standard versus economy, I'm going to have to think that it's going to come back with a value of $800. Probably $800 to nearly $2,000. And then claim it at $1,000. Right? If it's going to be like, if I think that it's going to come back at about $700, that's real borderline. I may claim it at $400 and leave it in economy. So let me know what you think of your process for CGC. What I try to do when I do my own cleaning and pressing is get 25 books in the same tier. So if I have 25 express books, those all go together. 25 modern books. Sometimes I do pre-screens. That's a whole other story. That way I can do pre-screens for modern books, and I can save on shipping both ways by just shipping in one package there, and then I get a big 25 book box in return rather than 3 separate boxes, and you're paying quite a bit more in shipping. You can combine orders and shipping out because raw books, 50 raw books are going to take up that much space, whereas 50 slabs is going to take up that much space and be incredibly heavy and difficult to ship. So let me know what you think. Have you submitted books to CGC? What is your thought process? What is your threshold for getting it graded? And certainly if you're getting it graded for your personal collection, that's a different story entirely. But if you're getting it graded to maximize the value of the book, maybe resell it so you can either resell it or trade it to get a bigger book that you're looking for, then you kind of want to maximize the return on investment. And part of the investment is the value that you paid for the book, and then the amount of money you have to put into it to get someone else to clean and press it, to ship it to CGC, to get them graded, and to ship it back. So all of those things have to be considered when you're doing that. And if you're going to sell the book on a platform like eBay or whatnot, or consign it, you're going to have to pay fees. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. And in the meantime, you can take a look at a couple of other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.